Blue Jay fans, I was not expecting to talk to you guys so soon after the Curtis Granderson signing on Monday. But here it is on Friday. Blue Jays acquire outfielder Randal Grichuk from the St. Louis Cardinals in exchange for former first-round pick Greene and right-handed reliever Dominic Leone. Now, before we break down what we gave up and how everybody's freaking out, let's talk about the guy we actually acquired. Randal Grichuk has been in the league now for 4 seasons. His first year was only 47 games, and last year he even had a stint down in the minor leagues, but when he came back up, he ended up hitting 260-something I think it was in his time back. But what Randal Grichuk is, a defensive outfielder, only committed 3 errors all season long last year, split time between right and left field with St. Louis, and he committed, like I said, 3 errors combined. And what was the big problem for this Jays season last year? Defense. Couldn't make the routine play. Steve Pearce looked lost. Carrera, you didn't realize you didn't think he knew what he was doing out there. And Hernandez was the only guys who were like, okay, all right. Well, now with Jose Bautista gone, you needed to find that hole. And were we actually going to be okay with 36-year-old Curtis Granderson starting for this team? And defensively, would he be able to hold up? Now, you get Randal Grichuk to kind of fill those shoes. Again, last year, I understand the batting average is low and the strikeout numbers are fairly high. 133 strikeouts last year, a 238 batting average, but you got to look at it. 22 home runs, I think it was 58 RBIs as well. What Randal Grichuk is, like I said, a defensive outfielder. This team had a mighty trouble in the outfield last year trying to find that combination that worked. That left fielder that can actually play defense. And they kind of found Teoscar Hernandez, and he looked pretty good. Well, now with Bautista gone, you had to fill that hole. I think they just did. Now, batting average, yes, it's low, and it was in the National League, so everyone's going to say, oh, it's just going to get lower in the American League. Look, Randal Grichuk, I mean, for Blue Jay fans, we're used to guys, the Jays acquiring 30-plus-year-olds, right? That's what we're used to. Randal Grichuk is 26 years of age. 26. He is not old at all. He's been in the league now for 4 seasons. He still has 3 more years of arbitration eligibility. And, if this guy doesn't work out, you trade him. I mean, is it that difficult? I understand, you gave up a little bit of a pretty penny, but you got to get something you got to give up something to get something. What Randal Grichuk is a guy that's going to be a stable player in that outfield, but what he's going to do with his bat is really what's going to tell who we have. And the way I kind of determined the strikeout ratio, he has 133. Okay, well, is that a lot? Well, first off, Jose Bautista had over 200. Do I need to say anything else other than that? But if you're comparing it to guys who we have now and guys who are kind of around that, we thought Kendrys Morales struck out a ton last year. He had 132. Grichuk has 133, but again, he's 26 years of age. The guy isn't done growing. And I think this is great for him. You see already on Twitter, on his Twitter, it says member of the Toronto Blue Jays or something like that. He's happy now. I understand St. Louis fans didn't like him, and they've compared him to guys like Colby Rasmus and guys who strike out a ton and mess up in big situations and all that. Well, he did have a walk-off this past season against the Cubs, and I know Cub fans are probably really happy that he's gone because he was torching those guys all year. But look, you got a guy that can start for you. Jose hit a shade. I mean, we were okay with Jose Bautista, weren't we? And he hit a shade over 200 and struck out over 200 times and hit barely over 20 home runs. This guy will give you 20-plus home runs, no question. He will hit you 230, 240. He'll play you great defense. He's got a little bit of speed out there. And he'll strike out less. I understand overall we're not getting guys. You're not going to trade Greene and Dominic Leone and get a guy like Starling Marte on the Pirates or an Andrew McCutchen. like the Giants did. You're not going to get that. Now that we're done talking about the guy we got, what did we have to give up to get Randal Grichuk? Well, former first-round pick, he's the 11th best prospect in the Blue Jays system, which arguably isn't the greatest prospect system anyways, Connor Greene. Now, I don't think people are much worried about that. He's getting a little bit older now. I think he's 23 now. I think he might be 24 by the season start. I'm not exactly sure what about that. But he had tons of hype. Like I said, former first-round pick. But you look at him in Double-A this year in New Hampshire, didn't really do anything. Had a 5.5 ERA, a 5-10 record. Nothing really special going on there. And you think about, okay, he is a right-handed prospect. Right-handed starting pitching prospect. Okay, well, what do the Blue Jays have in right-handed starting pitching prospect? Sean Reed-Foley, John Harris is another guy you could throw in there. First-round pick just this past year, Nate Pearson, who did fantastic with Vancouver, but I understand it's the Vancouver Canadians, still a long way to go for him, but he looked great. That's 3. And obviously you're going to have free agents. And oh yeah! Do we forget Stroman and Sanchez? Forget the free agents. That's 5 right there. You add a couple free agents. Well, that's 6 or 7. And oh yeah! Don't you need a lefty in there? Remember Ryan Baruki, the guy we were talking about? Or Baruki, or I think it's Baruki. But, he looked great last year. Got the call up to AAA Buffalo. And he was unbelievable. Everyone's talking about him making the team this year. And we can't be upset with that move, trading away Connor Greene, because really, we have an influx of young pitching prospects. Now, could we use more? Absolutely. But was Connor Greene going to show anything? You never really know. I mean, you didn't really see anything in Double-A to kind of hint that he was finding his way. He had a good start, but then he really struggled the rest of the season. Now, Dominic Leone. The one piece that I'm like, that sucks. But like I said, you got to give up something to get something. And Dominic Leone, he had an unbelievable year last year with the Jays. But think about it. How many relievers have amazing years all the way through? A great example, Steve Delabar. Remember that guy? He didn't play baseball for a while. I think he was a teacher or something, if I'm not mistaken. And then he came back into baseball, and I think he played with Seattle, and he was okay for a few years. Came to the Blue Jays, had one fantastic season, made the All-Star team with Brett Cecil. And then what happened? He fell apart. And I think he ended up being in the minors, and then we traded him, I think it was to Cincinnati or something, for nothing, and he's just been dwindling in the minors. Relievers have big seasons at points, yes. When you have an opportunity to get a guy like Randal Grichuk, who you know what you're going to get, let's say he doesn't improve and he hits 238, 22 home runs, almost 60 RBIs, good defense. Okay, that's great. Would Dominic Leone put up another season of 2.5 ERA? It's hard to say. But what was Dominic Leone to the Blue Jays? A late inning reliever, right? Roberto Osuna, Ryan Tepera, Danny Barnes. There's 3 right there that are late inning relievers. Do you need 4? When you have not an influx, I wouldn't say 3 or 4 is an influx. When you have enough right-handed relievers, late inning relievers, you don't need them all. I understand, guys. Don't tell me, you're okay with getting rid of Leone? You don't think he's going to do well this year? Look, he could still have an unbelievable year. He might have still had an unbelievable season with the Jays if he wasn't traded. No one knows until the season begins. But what you got is a guy that can really impact your team. Now, does he strike out a decent amount of times? Yes. I'm not going to beat around the bush. He does. Which sucks. But it's production and good defense in the outfield that we're looking for. How did the Blue Jays back in 2015 when they made all those trades for Ben Revere, Troy Tulowitzki, guys like that, what happened to that team? Why were they so good? Their defense. They basically never made errors. Tulowitzki was a great goddamn vacuum cleaner at shortstop. He still is when he's healthy. And you look at Ben Revere, the guy's speed out there like crazy. He could get to balls, no problem. That's a big reason of why that Blue Jays team made it the way they did. Obviously, the offense was unbelievable, and then the addition of David Price, it was unbelievable, and all that kind of stuff. But great defense. We saw last year countless times where the Blue Jays miss routine plays to lose games. You get a guy that can play defense in the outfield very well. I'm not complaining whatsoever. Now, yes, losing Leone right now, it sucks. It really does. And losing a prospect when everyone's talking about gaining prospects, yes, I understand it. But do we really need a right-handed prospect starting pitcher right now? Do we? I wouldn't say so. I'm trying to be light of things. Would I have liked to keep Connor Greene and Dominic Leone around? Absolutely. But would I have liked to keep Curtis Granderson as our starter or Steve Pearce as our starter into next season or Carrera? Not really. Would you guys? Would you trust them all 140-odd games they play or whatever? I know it's 162, but they wouldn't play all 162. Would you trust them all that season? Because basically there's really no upgrade. Adding Randal Grichuk, a young, athletic outfielder. Him with Kevin Pillar? I ain't complaining. And young Teoscar Hernandez? Your outfield now is under 30 years of age. If you had Teoscar Hernandez, Kevin Pillar, and Randal Grichuk, they're all under the age of 30 years old. And everyone's thinking, he's 26, he's that, whatever. Teoscar Hernandez is 25 years old. We call him a rookie, our young gun. Well, this guy's 26. You look at a guy like Devin Travis, we still call him a young buck, right? He's 26. Randal Grichuk is right in that mix. I love it. I try to take positives. Are there negatives out of the deal? Yes. The strikeout numbers? Yes. It's a little scary. I mean, in 2016, he struck out 141 times to his 113 this year. Improvement? I mean, I guess so. But really, we're looking for the big defense. I think you guys can agree with me on that, all right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. You guys enjoy this video, and you guys like the addition of Randal Grichuk. Not the trade, the addition. Hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button if you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys love all the other ones, hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Good trade, bad trade. Are there signs where it says it's bad? Because you gave up a top 10, top 11, I guess, prospect and a very good reliever last year for a guy who's not going to hit 250 this year, statistically wise, what we see here. You could argue it. But let me know what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Break this baby down. How do you feel about Grichuk? How do you feel about them giving up Connor Greene, Leone? Look, this video is for you guys to go nuts. We'll have a chat. We'll have fun with this, all right? So we'll talk to you guys. Leafs edition. It is Saturday, tomorrow, as they take on the Ottawa Senators in Ottawa. They desperately need a regulation win since they haven't got a regulation win since 2017. Well, I'll talk to you guys Raptors edition. That'll be tonight as they're taking on the San Antonio Spurs at the Air Canada Center. Raptors look to win 2 in a row. The Celtics lost last night. With a win, the Raptors will pull within 2 games of the Boston Celtics for first in the Eastern Conference. All right, so we'll talk to you guys then, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. And every day that goes by, we're getting closer to spring training. We'll talk to you guys then.